What's going on, people? Back with a bang. This is the Money Management, back here to bring you guys 3 stocks to watch today, this week, in the near future. And to be honest, I'll give you guys 2 bonus stocks at the end as well, so you guys can watch, if you want to play options on them, if you want to buy shares of them. It just depends who you are, depends how much buying power you have, depends your trading style. I'm going to give you those 3 stocks. Hopefully you guys can start looking into them. We can dive into them a little bit today, but you guys can go and do your own research after this video. And yeah, the aim is obviously to make some money. So hopefully with this video, that can assist you in some kind of way. Now I'm going to give you guys those 3 interesting stocks in just a second. But before we do that, please let us do the usual stuff. Get the usual stuff out of the way. Drop those thumbs ups if you guys do enjoy this video. Even if you don't enjoy this video, to be honest, please do drop the thumbs up. Also, make sure you guys comment on the video. Let me know your thoughts if you want more videos like this. Let me know what your thoughts are on the video overall, what stocks you're watching. Add to that, make sure you guys share these videos, get them out to more people. Other people that could potentially use them. Maybe share it on your social media, on a page. It doesn't matter. Please share these videos. And lastly but not least, we have a lot of watchers who are not subscribed to the channel. So please, if you are watching this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the red button below. It does not cost you anything and it helps me in a great way. So for today's video, now I'm going to be looking at 5 stocks, which have all been on my radar recently, have done different things. Some of them have been up recently, some of them consolidated, some of them been down. But we're going to look at these stocks. And the good thing is, with all these stocks, there's potential. With all these stocks, they're at different price points. So it doesn't matter if you have a lot of money or not a lot of money. You can look at these stocks, look at the options on them, look at buying shares, and hopefully make yourself some money. So number 1, AMC. Now I know this is one of those stocks where people are like, I don't want to trade that. I'm not interested in that. I don't want to dance with the apes. But today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to look at AMC stock first. Now, this one is a very interesting one because in June, right at the beginning of June, it shot up to highs of $60 or $70. And 3, 4, 5 months ago, it was only like $10, $5 stock. Now it's sitting around $34. It actually broke resistance around $33 today, support, resistance, whatever you want to call it. And the good thing with the stock is there's a lot of potential opportunity. Now, the strange thing with this stock is there are around 300,000 out the money calls which expired this week. In fact, it was over 300,000 out of money calls which expired this week. So there are a lot of calls being opened with this week's expiry, and that also goes for the puts as well. There are a lot of puts being opened for this week's expiry. $10 puts, $5 puts, and the calls were rallying up to $145 calls. So there's so much action going on with this stock. There's so many shares being traded. Another thing that interests me a little bit with this one is, so you guys obviously know about Citadel and the whole hedge fund thing, just like we saw with GameStop in January, where different hedge funds got pretty much exposed and became bankrupt due to the GameStop shares rising in price and rallying in price. A similar situation can happen here with Citadel. Now, Citadel are shorting AMC shares, but what they're doing at this present time is also buying call options and also shares. So they're hedging against their position. Now, I don't want to get into that too much today, but one thing to note is eventually they're going to have to cover their short shares. Now, I know that in, I think, June and also July, there are a lot, I think about, maybe it might have even been, a 3-month span. Many different short shares were not covered. So they, shorts failed to cover their shares, multiple weeks in a row. It might have been like 2 or 3 months straight. And that's honestly ridiculous. But a lot of people thought that's when we would see AMC squeeze. We've not seen it squeeze yet. It could squeeze this week, it could squeeze in 2 months. We don't know. The majority of us all thought it would squeeze shortly after earnings, in a similar pattern to what GameStop did in January, but that didn't happen. A lot of people thought that once the shorts cover their position in May or June, we'd see the stock explode. It still hasn't happened. Now, like I mentioned briefly a few minutes ago, AMC has a resistance around $33, just under $33, which also acts as a form of support. So today AMC briefly dipped below that $33 mark, but then rallied to highs of over $35 within a few hours. Now that's a reminder. So once AMC drops below that $33 mark, watch to see what happens. Now it's past that $33 mark. I think the run to 37 is strong in the next coming days, and then eventually the run to 40, hopefully this week, if not by next week. That means look at those out the money calls for $37, for $40 for this week. Look at the call options on those. Look at buying shares as well. With this kind of stock, you can't go wrong buying shares. That's why you'll see many videos saying buy shares of AMC, buy shares of meme stocks. That's why you'll see many articles telling you guys to load up on those shares, because quite frankly, you can't go wrong. If it does squeeze eventually, you got yourself a bargain. You got yourself some crazy money made. If it doesn't squeeze, well, you still got shares of a decent stock at a solid price, I'd say. Now, of course, we don't know what the price will be in the coming future, in the near future. But once again, you don't want to go all in on risk on call options with AMC, especially not with that really short-term expiry. Get those shares. That's what I did. I got 100 shares. Bear in mind, I did use my call options to exercise my right to buy those 100 shares, which I did. But I would definitely say try and buy shares. Don't try and go for those short, out of the money call options, which expire, too close, because they're very risky. Now, yes, they could pay off, because if AMC does rip to, $40, even higher than that by Friday, then a lot of your out of the money call options are now in the money. But again, if AMC consolidates or it drops back below the $33 mark, then you're screwed and your options might expire worthless. But keep your eyes on AMC over the coming days. As each day passes, that one is definitely a stock that gets a little bit more interesting. 2, Apple stock. Today, it hit its highs. Over $150, over $151 now. And this one started off a little bit funny. It started off the day hitting the all-time highs before selling off heavily. Now, it recovered within 2 or 3 hours, and it's got back to $151, and it's also slightly up after hours. So with Apple, what you want to look at is the run now to $155. As long as we hold above the level we're at right now, which I do believe we will do, because we've not seen it do this before, the run to $155 before the run to $160 is what we need to look out for. So that means $155 calls for potentially August, $160 calls for maybe August, maybe September. I can't tell you guys, when it's going to hit $155, when it's going to hit $160, or whether it will hold above $150. But once again, you've got to look for what it does carefully. If another sell-off arrives, just like what happened today, then make sure you're looking at those call options for maybe $150. Those out of money call options, because those are cheapest, and once they're in the money, they're obviously going to expire, not worthless. They're going to expire with some kind of value, that intrinsic value. Again, Apple, they have some big announcements in September. We don't know what's going to happen with this iPhone 13 yet. Apple's consistently been growing for about 10 years straight now, probably even longer than that. And it's one of those stocks where if you buy shares long term, you're safe. I've said this multiple times, but Apple also pay out a dividend. So if you're looking at a good dividend stock, Apple is one of those. On this channel from $120, in fact, even less than $120 in the past few months, I've been saying buy shares long term, buy shares long term, buy shares long term. Now I'm saying buy shares long term, but also look at those call options. $155, $160, that's the target for Apple now. This is also good for SPY, this little bullish run by Apple. And after a period of consolidation, staying between $140 and $145, then $145 and $150, and then dropping back down, we're finally seeing that breakout. Can we finally see that breakout that we'd like to see? Hopefully we can. And that means potential there for buying some call options. There's potential there for buying those long-term shares. 3, Pfizer. So if you've not made any money off any Pfizer calls and you have some kind of contact with me at this point in time, then I'm not sure what you're doing, because Pfizer is one of those that's just been on a strong run, a constant strong run. Yes, it's had its pullbacks, but look at over the past week, look at over the past month, it's been on a strong run, and it's at all-time highs as well. Now, going forward in maybe November, December, I would not be surprised to see this at $70, $80. And you might be wondering why I say that. Well, today we had some interesting initial news, and that was that Pfizer submitted data to the FDA for approval of a COVID vaccine booster for the general population. Now, we've been waiting for this kind of news to come through. It did come through, and it saw Pfizer finally hit highs of $49 after hours. But the big news, what could take this to $60, $70 in later months, is the approval from the FDA. I think around September the 6th, we will know more about it. But once this happens, if it does happen, we get that approval, that's when we start going to the moon. That's when we break past $60. That's when we break past $70. Once they get that approval for that COVID vaccine booster, you're going to see the stock take off. I'm telling you guys, one stock to watch right now, Pfizer. If I had to pick one, Pfizer. It's going to, AMC is a great, interesting stock, but Pfizer is the one that's actually got real news behind it, real driving factors behind it. One where we can really see the short-term potential. Again, if you've not made any money off Pfizer at all, then you're doing something wrong. We've been waiting for the run to 45. We hit 45. We're waiting for the run to 50. We're almost at 50 now. Eventually, you're going to start looking at those $60 call options for September, for October, for November. And you should honestly start looking at those already. There's no way that Pfizer does not hit $60, $70 by those months if they get the FDA approval. Now, I can't tell you what's going to happen if they don't get those FDA approvals, but in this case, just a little bit of positive news, just some kind of catalyst is all it needs to take this stock flying. And that also means, for those of you who have been saying, is it too late to get into Pfizer? Is it too late? When should I get? At this point, if you're not buying short-term expiries, if you're buying September or October's, just get in now. Honestly, you can wait for pullbacks. That's a good idea. But if you're wondering, if you're worrying, just get in now. I can't stress it enough. Those little pieces of news, those little articles, those little indications of an FDA approval is what's going to help the stock move higher and higher. There are going to be shaky times. There are going to be pullbacks. So if Pfizer drops tomorrow to $47 at market open, don't be scared. Don't be worried. This has happened 3 or 4 times in the past week. But that doesn't mean you should go and buy call options which expire this Friday. Because if it drops a little bit more, you're going to panic, you're going to worry, and you're probably going to sell. It does mean if you already own the stock or you have call options, you don't sell, you hold tight. It also means you're going to have to manage this kind of trade a little bit more. But Pfizer is definitely one to look out for in the coming days, in the coming weeks, and definitely in the coming months. Now, I just want to leave you guys with 2 more, bonus stocks. Maybe stocks I'll break down a little bit more in a future video. I think one of them you'll definitely see me break down at some point. So the first one, I'll go with Tesla. And Tesla had some interesting news today, which was bad news, which saw the stock sell off heavy to around $680, if I'm not mistaken. Now, it's had this kind of news before in the past, and I don't know the whole details, which is why I've not included it as one of the main stocks to watch. But I believe there was an accident regarding, the self-driving cars, of course, and that's what caused the stock to sell off heavy. So Tesla has a kind of resistance around $700 mark, and if you can break that, we can start seeing it moving towards 720 again. It did this last week to highs of 722 before it sold off again. Now it's back under the $700 mark. You can play this a couple different ways. Ride it up to $700 or ride it down below $700 if it hits that $700 resistance. You can also start buying your shares. Under $700 is a great place to buy Tesla shares. It's been lower in recent times, sure. But right now in the 680s, it's definitely a solid price point that I would look at buying Tesla shares for the long term. So, Tesla is one of those electric vehicle sector where it's going to have a big future, huge future. And you can't really go wrong with those buy and holds. With the options, a little bit more tricky, they've been more pricey, they've been more difficult to gauge, when to buy what kind of option. But again, the potential is there. You just need to do your research. And lastly but not least, Tattooed Chef. This stock has been selling off heavily recently. It's been selling off like crazy. And it dropped below $70 today. And we thought, okay, it's done. It continued to drop. Last week on Friday, when it dropped to below $17, it was up again pre-market Monday morning. Now it's back below the $17 mark, 16 something, and you can buy those short-term call options once you see signs of reversal confirmed, but beware that this can continue to drop to lows of $15. That's where it has its kind of resistance. Tattooed Chef is a company that I'm going to talk about in a future video, I'm sure. It's a company I've talked about many times this year, and it's one for the long term. Those buy and holds with Tattooed Chef, I'm sure are going to bring you back 3 times, 4 times your money in the coming years. It's a company that's doing great things with a great future. Sure, they missed revenue slightly, but it's one of those stocks that I don't see staying this low for too long. Look towards buying those shares for that long-term growth with Tattooed Chef. It's one of those growth stocks which is heavily undervalued right now and way oversold. I believe that this is one of the ones that's really a real cheap deal on the market right now. It's up to you what you guys do, but again, just go do your research, check it out, and see what you think from there. So those are different stocks to watch right now. Again, first one AMC, second one Apple, third one Pfizer, fourth one the bonus ones Tesla and Tattooed Chef. So that's it for today's video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please check out all those links in the description. We have my stock option starter pack. If you'd like to learn how to trade stock options, it's going to give you guys the ins and outs, 10 videos that you have access to for life. Also, make sure you guys check out all the other links in the description. Please do check them out. And lastly, let's look at making some money in the markets today. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. That's it from me. I got money to making. You got money to making. See you guys next time for another video. Peace.
Game over.